In 1858, they built something they called a sanctuary, a place of healing, of fresh air and sunlight and open fields, a place where the broken could become whole again. They meant well, they really did. But good intentions have a way of becoming something else entirely when money runs out. When the world stops caring, and the doors only open one way. The Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum stands in Weston, West Virginia. It is the largest hand-cut stone masonry building in North America, second largest in the world, behind only the Kremlin. 1,295 feet long, 666 acres of land. A building so massive, so deliberately imposing, that standing before it feels less like looking at a hospital, and more like looking at something that was built to swallow people whole. And it did. For 130 years, it swallowed them. It was designed by a man named Thomas Kirkbride, a doctor who genuinely believed that the environment could heal the mind. High ceilings, tall windows flooding every room with light, long open corridors with cross-ventilation. Kirkbride believed that if you gave a troubled mind beauty, space, and dignity, it would find its way back. The building was designed for exactly 250 patients. No more. He knew that beyond that, care becomes control. Healing becomes containment. He wrote it down. Nobody listened. The asylum opened in 1864. Sunlight poured through the tall windows. The air was clean. For a brief moment, this place was exactly what it was meant to be. That moment did not last long. By 1880, there were already 717 people inside. By 1938, 1,661. And at its peak, in the 1950s, 2,600 human beings were living inside a building designed for 250. 10 times its capacity. 10 times the suffering anyone had planned for. Patients were sleeping on floors, in hallways, sharing beds in shifts. The windows meant for healing light were now coated in mold. The walls meant to breathe were crumbling and damp. Kirkbride's sanctuary had become something else. Who were these 2,600 people? Some were ill. Others were admitted for laziness, for greediness, for being an insubordinate wife. Others were admitted for political excitement. One person was admitted for being kicked in the head by a horse. Real people. Real lives handed over for reasons that today would seem almost laughable if the consequences weren't so devastating. Because once you were inside, getting out was never guaranteed. The doors only opened one way. 2,600 people, traumatized, overcrowded, undertreated. As overcrowding worsened, the treatments did too. Trans-Allegheny became home to the lobotomy project. A metal rod through the eye socket, a hammer to sever the brain. Over 4,000 lobotomies were performed here. The procedure didn't heal them, it emptied them. And an empty person takes up much less space. The violence was inevitable. Patients set fire to the floors. A nurse went missing. She was found 2 months later at the bottom of a staircase. She had been there the entire time. In another incident, 2 patients attempted to hang a third. When that failed, they placed his head beneath a metal bed frame and jumped on it until the frame touched the floor. The state knew. Reports were published. The suffering was documented, photographed, and written about, and then filed away. For decades, nothing changed, because changing things costs money, and the people inside had no voice that anyone chose to hear. The asylum finally closed on June 30th, 1994, 130 years after those first patients walked through the doors. The building fell silent, and the silence was not empty. It was full of everything that had happened here. An estimated 30,000 people died within these walls. The state attempted to identify those buried on the grounds. They found 4,000 sets of remains in unmarked graves. They stopped counting after that, not because there were no more, but because there were too many more, and the only part of this building ever expanded was the graveyard. Kirkbride wanted to build a sanctuary, and for a brief moment it was. But we have a habit, as a species, of taking the places we build for our most vulnerable people and slowly, quietly, letting them become something we are ashamed to look at. Not through malice, through indifference. And all that was left was the stone, and the silence, and 30,000 souls that the world chose to forget. Make of that what you will. Nexel verse, explore what history forgot.